then I got to go live on Facebook. So, Badri, why don't you take it on, and I will mess around with going live on Facebook. So give me a second, and then you can start your presentation.
Hey, sounds good. Hey, good evening, everyone. How are you? So let me get started. While I get started, what I would like to ask is if everyone could type in just their experience with real estate in the chat window, So do you do syndications? Do you do own houses, real estate investment trusts, private funds? It'll give me a sense for what everybody is doing. If you don't mind, I mean, so that instead of asking individually, there's a large enough group that we cannot really have a private conversation here. So thank you all for coming. My name is Badri Malanor. I represent a company called Avestor. And I'm here to talk to you about how to build a diversified portfolio in real estate. I'm not talking about an individual deal, but how you can build a diversified portfolio, taking into account multiple factors. Our attorneys ask us to definitely show the slide. This investment is not open for everyone. It's open only for accredited investors. Private placements can have a degree of risk. You really should consult your own investment, tax, financial, and legal advisors before investing in anything. It's not considered to be investment advice, yeah? So basically, I guess, here's the thing about this presentation. Some of you will know everybody will know something about something in this, okay? Some of you may be experts in some aspects of it. Others may be experts in other aspects of it. Hopefully you'll get something from some aspects which you're not familiar with, yeah? So, it's not that hard to build a stock portfolio, and even a bond portfolio is relatively easy, but how do you build a real estate portfolio? Now, the Bill Gates in the audiences, please excuse me, I'm not talking about people with tens of millions of dollars in assets. I'm talking for the average Joe among us. So, we want to help people move from the left to the right, but building a real estate portfolio can be really hard. There are significant capital requirements, and finding opportunities can be fairly complex. You have to evaluate complex deal structures. You have to manage the risk. And it's all about timing, right? It doesn't matter if you have not made any money until you have actually made money. When do you exit, right? So, and there are various ways you can get into real estate. I'm enjoying seeing what everybody's typing in. I encourage all of you to type in on what your experience and what type of real estate deals you invest in. So what today we are going to talk about is the different types of real estate deals, the top portfolio considerations when you're building a real estate portfolio. I'm not talking about evaluating an individual deal. We'll give a brief introduction to crowdfunding. And then finally, we'll conclude with a demonstration of Avestor, which we have really invested a lot of blood and tears on it. It's a unique platform, and hopefully you like it. I'm not saying this is the only way to invest, build a portfolio in real estate, but it's one way. Okay. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat window, and just in case I miss it, Bobby, if you can keep an eye on the chat and pop in with any questions, I'd appreciate it. Yeah. So
you bet.
So there are different ways you can invest in real estate. Obviously, the most common is purchasing individual properties. Looks like some of you have done that. You can also buy shares in private REITs or public REITs and private funds. You can invest in equity deals, also known as syndication deals, or you can do hard money loans, which I think Bobby is an expert on. So that's another way of investing in real estate, right? There are some different ways you can do it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each one of these. I'm just going to give you a flavor and then talk about considerations which you should be looking at. You can buy a second home or a small multifamily, 25% cash down, 75% loan. You get the idea. The pros are you have full control over the asset, and you get the depreciation and write-off benefits, and the renter pays your mortgage essentially for you. The cons are, well, you have to put a significant cash down, single market risk, right? You're not getting a diversified portfolio. You're putting all your eggs in one basket, maybe 2 or 3 baskets, but definitely not multiple baskets, right? Then managing renters, you have to get a property management company, or you have to do it on your own. And there is not much liquidity on your invested capital. Again, a lot of this, many of you are familiar with it, so I'm not going to spend too much time. You can do public real estate investment trusts. These are available in the stock market, things like Simon Property Group or Public Storage, which invest, Simon SPG invests in retail malls, Public Storage invests in storage, self-storage centers. The main advantage here is you have high liquidity, very easy to research, low capital requirements. But here is the fundamental problem I have with it. I do invest in public REITs, don't get me wrong. There is very little transparency on the actual investments. And you get a small size of a big pie. And the whole point is you don't get diversification from the stock market. If the average REIT was down 70, 80%, 60, 70% during the crash, and even now it's down 20, 30%, even though the market has recovered. And you don't get many of the benefits. You get some tax benefits on the dividend payouts, but you don't get the depreciation benefits of real estate. Private REITs are a little better. They're exempt from SEC registration. You get some independence from the stock market, a little more transparency, but still not, you cannot really customize what you want. Potentially a higher returns, and you get some limited benefits through a limited partnership structure. Requires a lot of investor research and fairly limited liquidity. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to give you a 10,000-foot overview level, and then we'll talk about some of the considerations you should be really looking at. Equity deals or syndication deals. I think many of you are familiar with syndication deals. The general idea here is this enables you to get into larger commercial deals like apartments, office spaces, hotels, etc. There is a general partner and a limited partner. The investors who are limited partners are passive and receive an equity stake, and sponsors and investors share in various ratios, the income and profits. And the main advantage is there is no way all of us could invest in this individually. It allows you to invest in much larger properties, higher potential return, and you get passive income based on the type of the project. And one of the biggest advantages is you get tax benefits of owning the real estate directly. Here are some of the cons. Minimum investment is 25 to 50,000. And in fact, some of the better syndication deals have a minimum of 100,000. There is not much liquidity. 3 to 7 years investment is required. And the first lien is always with the lender. So it could result in full loss of investor capital, right? And you don't have any control. The general partner has full decision authority over the deal. Yeah. So, and then of course you can do debt deals. These are where you lend money to fix and flippers. It could be single, multifamily, or small commercial. The advantage of this is you have the first lien on the property generally. And this is short-term investments, 6 to 15 months. And they're more liquid, and targeted returns are 6 to 12% returns, and more downside protection because you have the first lien, as long as you ensure that the borrower has put 15 to 20% down. The cons are you're putting all your eggs in a little larger basket, right? I mean, if you're doing $200,000 or $300,000 loan, you better know the borrower pretty well. And foreclosure processes can tie up capital for 24 months or more in a worst case situation. Yeah. So these are all some different ways you can invest in real estate. I don't know, some of you have done some of these, some of you have done all of these, and not everything is appropriate for everyone. But when you look at the overall portfolio, here are some of the considerations you should be really looking at. You should be looking at the overall portfolio structure. I'll talk about each of these points. You want to make sure it's diversified across multiple asset classes and multiple states. And you have to look at the criteria for selecting a deal. You have to look at the cash flow strategy. You have to look at what type of liquidity you have. And then you absolutely have to look at the tax benefits associated with each of these criteria, each of these possibilities, right? So what I mean by a portfolio structure is, let's say you have a $1 million portfolio. Maybe you target 15 to 20% in real estate. Some people do lower, some people do higher, which is about $200,000. Now, this seems obvious. I mean, you could maybe put 200,000, 2 single family houses, 100K cash, and that take the rest in debt. 4 private funds are 50K each, or maybe you do 8 syndication deals at 25K each, or maybe you do debt deals. There are crowdfunding platforms where you can put as little as 5,000, and maybe you do 40 or 5K deals each, right? But the main point I want to make is we want you to transition from what property do I buy to how do I build a diversified real estate portfolio that balances risk and returns. So everyone is interested in one deal at a time, but we want you to transition to how do you, what property, single property do I buy, or what single in the syndication deal do I want to do, to what type of, how do you build a real estate portfolio? The best analogy I can think of is a jigsaw puzzle. When you do a puzzle, you don't randomly say, let me take this piece, let me take that piece. You want to think of what the end goal is for the jigsaw puzzle and how the puzzle fits together. And you want to keep the end goal in mind when you start getting to the different pieces together. Yeah. So, and absolutely think of diversification. I mean, you want to diversify in multiple markets. You may say, oh boy, you need a lot of money for that. No, there are ways you can do it with limited amounts of money. If you take a look at, for example, the property prices in Boston, Portland, and North Durham, you can see they don't sync up, right? I mean, just like a stock portfolio, diversification is critical for a real estate portfolio. When you deal with selecting a deal, obviously you have to look at the property specifics, the debt servicing risk, the renter risk when you do a single property purchase. In addition to that, you have to look at the foreclosure flexibility in a state which has judicial processes. It may take a long time if you have to go to court. Look at the borrower risk. And then when you look at syndication deals, you have to analyze the capital stack, look at the deal structure, the track record of the sponsor. It's very important you research every deal thoroughly to minimize risk. Yeah. I'm going relatively fast. And then another thing you have to look at is you have to look at the portfolio cash flow. You know, if you purchase a rental property, typically you put in some principal, then you get some monthly income, and finally, hopefully, you sell the property and you get back your return and you get some long-term capital gains. When you do a debt deal, you invest some principal and then you get some monthly interest. At the end, you basically get the money back. Maybe some loans don't give monthly interest and you get accrued interest only at the end of the loan. In equity deal, depending on whether you're doing a value add deal or a new construction, you may have very limited distributions in early years for new construction, and most of the distributions come in later years, and a significant portion comes when the syndication deal exits and when the property is sold. So build your portfolio based on what type of cash flow requirements you're looking at. Yeah. So, and then in terms of liquidity, again, the liquidity event in a rental property, you get the liquidity event only at the end of when you sell the property. Whereas if you have a broad portfolio, you can structure it so that you have periodic liquidity events. If you invest in funds and if you invest in equity deals and debt deals, so you may never know when you need the money. You should always take into account a well-built portfolio provides liquidity at periodic intervals as opposed to only at one point in your life cycle. And then in terms of tax implications, debt deals typically provide 1099 interests. In equity deals, syndication deals, you get what is called a partnership return, a K1. And for private REITs and funds, you may get a 1099 div or a K1. And you have to factor all of that into account before you decide on how you want to structure your portfolio. Sometimes separate K1s may require you to file a return in the state where you've invested too. So TurboTax Premium and Business basically does a pretty good job in handling this K1. So understand the tax ramifications of your investments, yeah? So in terms of crowdfunding, the Jobs Act enabled you to, I don't know how many of you are familiar with crowdfunding platforms. These are online marketplaces that give investors an opportunity to invest in real estate deals. You can participate again in larger deals. Syndication deals is one form of crowdfunding. These are all passive investments where you're leaving the complex projects to experts. But there are some points you should remember. Crowdfunding is a decent way to start building a diversified portfolio. But remember, the crowdfunding platforms, their goals are not aligned with your goals. Their goal is to raise money as fast as possible for their investors. And so think of them as a seller's agent. And investors must assess the quality of the deals, don't fall for pretty pictures and marketing materials, And just don't go at the IRRs. It's very important you read the PPMs and the limited partnership agreements. And you have to analyze the financial projections. Don't just go based on the IRR, because with very small minor tweaks, you can adjust the internal rate of returns. And be prepared for many of the deals to take longer than the timing originally proposed. Yeah. So here are some crowdfunding options. If you want to buy complete properties, which are, and I know Bobby has some portals which he runs too. Home Union, roof stock, where you have completely ready to go properties. If you want private REITs and funds, Fundrise and Realty Mogul are a couple of examples. I'm not recommending any of these. I'm just giving some examples. Fundrise is particularly good for non-accredited investors because, but again, it's one size fits all. You cannot customize what you're buying. Equity deals, CrowdStreet and Equity Multiple allows you to invest in large syndication deals. And then debt deals, Fund That Flip and Patch of Land are a couple of examples of debt where you can get into slices of debt. Ground Floor is another one where you can invest as little as $10 per loan. So it give you massive diversification if that's something you want to do. So with that, I want to introduce Avestor. I'm not saying this is the only way to build a diversified portfolio. There are multiple ways to build a diversified portfolio, but hopefully you will consider this as one of the ways. This is a platform which allows you to build custom real estate portfolios. Again, the keyword is it's customized for your liquidity needs, your risk tolerance, and you have a certain amount of liquidity because we structure the portfolio that way. And you are diversified across multiple states, multiple asset classes, and you can specify passive income and capital appreciation or a combination of both. Yeah. So again, here are some of the key features. The key point is we are not just advising you on what deals to get into. The partnership and the individual partners not only evaluate, we evaluate hundreds of deals and we pre-invest in the best deals. Again, the key point is we pre-invest our own money into the best deals. And then we slice them. I'll show you that in the next slide too. The investors come along and customize the portfolio based on aligned with their investment goals. Okay. So you may have a kid going to college in 2 years. Some of you are too young for that, or you may want to buy a house in a few years. So we take that into account and build a portfolio customized with those goals in mind. It's diversified across multiple states, different time horizons and asset classes. Think of us like the Robin Hood of real estate. Now, I don't want to insult your favorite stockbroker. If you want TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or whatever, you log in, you'll see exactly what you bought and how much you bought of each of these deals and how much money you have made in each deal. And then you have the liquidity to withdraw the money when the deals exit, or you can re-enter or reinvest in these deals. And here is the beautiful part of the platform. We have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in developing this platform. All of this is packaged in a single K1 and in one partnership structure. So even if you invest in 25 syndication deals, you get a single K1, which not only reduces the complexity, but it also offers some tax benefits based on your specific tax situation. So again, to recap, we research the best deals, we pre-invest in the most attractive deals. These are cut into small slices. The slices can be as little as $2,500 for equity deals and $500 for syndication for debt deals. The investors come along, set their overall portfolio direction. Avestor matches these slices and builds a custom portfolio. You get a pro rata share of the earnings, and then we will then withdraw the money when the deals exit, or you can reinvest the money in new deals. Yeah. So here is a sample portfolio. Again, if you see, basically, hey, Bobby, do I need to admit the people in the waiting room, or will you take care of that?
I got them. You just do the presentation. I got them.
Okay, sorry. They keep coming in.
I can't do it instantaneously, but I'm getting them. Okay,
no worries. So you can invest in multiple markets. You can specify your time horizon. You can diversify across multiple property types, single family houses, multifamily houses, student housing, apartment complexes, office space, retail centers. And you can invest as little as $500. Don't worry about and $2,500 in each deal. I'm going to show you an actual portfolio. So don't worry about the sample portfolio. I'm going to log in and actually show you the platform. Yeah. So we are the only platform in the country, to the best of our knowledge, where you can do both syndication deals and real estate loans in the same platform. So syndication deals, as I indicated, you're getting an ownership stake in a commercial property. These are typically 3 to 5+ years. We rarely don't invest in deals more than 5 years. We always try to do 3 to 5 years. This can be value add and new construction. You get a pro rata share of the income and distribution, income and profits. We generally invest in the lower risk category, multifamily and luxury apartments, Class A, Class B, student housing, self-storage, retail centers. We also do real estate loans. These are short-term investments. As I indicated, these are for fix and flippers, 6 to 15 months. We slice them into $500 chunks, so you get massive amounts of diversification. You, of course, get a pro rata share of the interest income, and you always have the first lien on the property. So, and we never invest in any loans where you have not invested, where the borrower has not put at least 20% down. So the risk is, I'm not saying there is no risk, but it's relatively low unless the market crashes by 20 or 25%. Yeah. So here are some of the deals we have done in the past. Morehouse School of Medicine, which is student housing. There's a complex in Michigan, various returns from 18 to 25%. A retail center given to essential businesses, a self-storage facility. You can kind of take a look. We really like this deal. Even phase 1 and phase 2 got sold out. This is the entire community, single family houses built just for renting, and near Dallas, and about 21% IRR and a quick target exit date of 3 years. Yeah. So we help you build a highly diversified portfolio, and you get to pick and choose. Think of us like a salad bar. If we are not like a small salad pre-made, the small, medium, or large salad. You go to a salad bar, I don't know what you put in your salad, lettuce, tomatoes, jalapenos, whatever you want. You get to pick and choose, and you get to pick and say, hey, I want a little bit of this, more of this. You know, I'm already invested in California. I really don't want any deals in California. It's completely customizable for you. This is the only platform in the country which I believe allows you to do that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick demo. Hopefully you can still see my screen. Again, think Robinhood for real estate or Fidelity for real estate. We have spent years developing this platform and hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you log in, you'll see your account balance, the number of deals, the return on the deals which have exited. The return is a little lower because only debt deals have exited. Syndication deals take longer. Then this gives you the breakdown between the debt and equity. And this is, you know, for lack of a better word, it's almost like a little vanity map. It shows you how your portfolio is distributed across the country. You click on anything and you get more information. These are all the deals. 39 deals have exited. The breakdown in terms of dollar figures between the 3 categories of debt and equity. And this is the liquidity graph. This is something we build based on when you join. We ask you, when do you need your money back? And this is not like a CD. You're not going to get it back on July 30th, 2021. Approximately during that year, right? So for example, this person is getting back $9,000 here, $7,500 in 2023, you get the idea. So, and we also, of course, have the detailed portfolio page. So where you can kind of see the exact details of, let's see here, it's a little slow here. Give me 1 second. There we are. So you can see the exact details of your investments. Again, this is like what it would be like when you look at your stockbroker or see how the investments have done. And you can kind of see, give me 1 second here. While I'm waiting for the thing to load, do you have any questions so far?
Badri, this is Eugene.
Hey, Eugene, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. Cool stuff, really like it. Question, who holds the title to the properties? How's the title setup done?
You're talking about the debt, or you're talking about the syndication deals?
I mean, how the investor puts the money into your platform, and you then invest the money for the investor in different deals. How is the ownership structured? In other words, when you get my question, right?
I do. Can I just finish this and I'll answer it in 30 seconds?
Absolutely. Whenever.
Sorry, it took I exited it by mistake. But anyway, this is the last portion of the demo. When you log in, you'll kind of see how much you have invested in each deal. For example, this person has put $1,000 in this commercial debt deal. It's 9.5% return. He got in July 2019. It's exiting in March 2021. You click on it. He's made $100 so far. Or if you go to the equity deals, you can invest as little as $2,500 per deal. It tells you how much you have made in each deal. Let me click on something. He's made $193 in the self-storage facility, 15% IRR, and start date is 2019 and exit date is 2025. You generally get the idea. So it's just like you log into a stock account, you'll see exactly what you have. Now, let me get to Eugene's question. So what we are is, the fund is an LP and all the assets are in the name of the LP. AvestorInc is a C corporation. Without getting into all the details, Eugene, maybe you can contact me offline. That might be a better way. But for the syndication deals, nothing changes. So the portion of the syndication you own is in the name of the LP, and the title is always in the name of the first lien of the property, right? I mean, the person who owns the first lien against the property for syndication deals. So your question is a little more complex to answer. So for the debt funding platforms, the platform which we buy it from, let me just put my contact information here. You can always make a note of it and contact me. The platform where you buy it from owns the lien, but then that lien is jointly owned by all the people who invest in the debt. So it's a little complex, but in general, all the assets are in the name of the LP. And if you don't mind, if you have more questions, please contact me offline and I'm happy to address them.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, but remember, Avestor is never a GP. We are never a general partner in any deal, because I can't honestly tell you truthfully in the face if I'm a GP. Of course I'm biased. It's human to be biased to your own deals. We are always an LP. We select hundreds of deals and then we choose the very best deals and we invest our own money in that. So we are always limited partners. So it's just like investing in a syndication deal, but instead of putting $50,000 or $100,000 in a deal, you're putting $2,500 in a deal, which we have pre-selected, and you can choose among the pre-selected deals which ones you want. So. Other questions? I did go a little fast, so.
Yeah, if I may, and I'll contact you separately, but maybe it's interesting for the rest of the crowd online.
Sure.
I'm familiar with ground floor, and I've tried them out, and some of it works, some of it I'm not that happy. I think you're moving much better in a better direction. But you're mentioning that you invest in the deals. In other words, I'm trying to figure out the mechanics, right? Ground floor, if I can draw the parallel, actually purchases or invests in the asset, with their own money, the money of the investors, obviously, and then there's the owner of the property that has the skin in the game.
Correct.
In your case, you're investing other people's money into different deals, and you become the investor in those deals, and then you reciprocate. You basically telling people that invested small percentages, saying this is your share, essentially, in that deal. Is that correct?
Exactly. And by the way, just to in the spirit of full disclosure, ground floor is one of the places where we source some of the debt deals from. So it's worked very well for us because we don't invest in every ground floor deal. Sure. We have a model which evaluates which deals work the best. We have data on hundreds of, maybe thousands of debt deals and hundreds of syndication deals. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to, after a few minutes of questions, I'm happy to share the details of the model we use to evaluate. It's a model which takes into account 50 different variables. I'm also addressing a question which came on the chat window. Where do you source the deal? We source the deal from dozens of syndicators and multiple crowdfunding platforms, both equity and debt deals. Yeah. So, so we have multiple sources that gives us the opportunity to evaluate hundreds of deals. Yeah. So. Mohammed, I hope I answered your question. So,
and folks, we'll have time for Q&A later on, but we've got about another 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, I can talk about a few more things, but I just want to give a few more minutes for questions, and then I'll wrap up. Yeah. So.
Sure. I just want to add something here. So, folks, if you can raise your hand or just chat in the chat window, if you have invested in one of the crowdfunding platforms like Realty Shares, Fundrise, or Realty Moguls, or whoever else is out there, Ground Floor. Have you ever invested in? Okay, so I got a no. I got a yes. I got a yes. I got a yes. I got a yes.
So what we do, sorry to interrupt, Bobby, while you're collecting your responses, we work with all these crowdfunding platforms. The problem with these crowdfunding platforms is some of the best deals go really fast. You have to spend a lot of time evaluating the deals. And what we do is let me go back to the model. If people who want to reach out to me, please make a note of this. I'll come back to this at the very end. We have accounts on all the crowdfunding platforms, and we have relationships with multiple syndicators. And then we pre-select the best deals, and we actually use this model. Sorry. I thought I had a fee structure slide. Let me answer that and then go back to this. I didn't realize the fee structure slide was not in this. So our fee structure is very simple. We charge 1% for portfolios below $100,000 and 1.25% for 1% for portfolios above 100,000 and 1.25% for portfolios below $100,000. That's our fee structure. So hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah.
And then there was another question too. How much does Avestor co-invest in each deal? Typically, let me actually, there was one other thing. I thought this was part of the presentation. My apologies. Let me get one other thing going. While I'm getting the other presentation going, basically, we invest $40,000 to $100,000 typically in each syndication deal, and $5,000 to $10,000 in debt deals. Yeah. So there are two different presentations. My apologies. So I want to be very clear on the partnership structure. So and the platform fees. 1% for accounts above 100,000. I'm hoping you can see my screen. 1.25% for accounts less than 100,000. In addition to that, there are some fees which are not marketing fees, but directly accounting and tax fees. They're estimated to be between 0.25 to 0.5, but typically it'll be closer to 0.25 is in our experience. So, and the one question is, the 1% is charged on assets under management. We calculate that on a daily basis, and we charge that on a quarterly way. And it's not a one-time upfront fee, it's an annual fee. But for that, you're getting a single K1, and you're getting pre-screened deals, and you're getting diversified portfolio. Think of this like a mutual fund fee, which charges 1%. So, and it is not, 1% is not percentage of capital or profit. Every penny we get is passed on to you and in a pro rata fashion, but we charge 1% or 1.25 of the portfolio assets under management. And one other thing I wanted to show you, this is the deal assessment model. Again, it's best if you contact me offline. We look at almost 40 to 50 different variables. We look at a detailed capital stack risk. the financial risk, and look at the deal structure, whether it's investor friendly or sponsor friendly, the track record of the sponsor. And then we put all of this in a matrix, and we have a baseline, and we invest only in deals which are well above the baseline. The location of the thing, and the how much buffer is there, the attractiveness of the debt, is it tied to LIBOR or prime? There are almost 40, 50 different variables. I'm happy to talk to you offline. Yeah. So for this fund right now, we may very well launch a public fund where non-accredited investors can invest. But right now it's a 506c fund. And so you have to be an accredited investor, because we are investing in accredited 506c deals. Yeah. So.
Excellent. Very good stuff. We will have time for more Q&A later on. So let's stick around. But we're at the 6:40 mark, and I want to also give Kamal and Benson an opportunity to present. So, hey, Kamal, let me know. I think you're on, and I think I've made you a co-host.
Can I just address a couple of questions, and then I'll just very quickly, which came up, Bobby? So,
sure.
One question is, what percentage of your wealth should be in real estate? Somewhere between 10 and 35 is what we recommend, based on. I mean, that's we have to understand your net goals before I can answer that. And another question. Okay, sorry, these have been private questions. So I'll be here. You can continue sending me private questions, actually.
Yeah,
a lot of these questions have been private. So let me, why don't we do this? Let me go ahead and hand it over to Kamal.
Yeah.
But I will be right here, and you can send me private questions. And please do make a note of my email address. It's badri@AvestorInc.com. Hopefully you can see it. And feel free to call me on my mobile at any time. And the last thing, just 2 more seconds, Bobby. So please take a look at our website. There is a lot of information on the website. If you go to learn more, there is basically a video which talks about, gives a short overview of how Avestor works. We also have a lot of blog articles on how syndication deals work, and the pros and cons of investing, the pros and cons of crowdfunding, whether the pros and cons of doing debt versus equity, and the top 5 misconceptions about syndication deals. And the last thing I wanted to mention is we do take self-directed IRAs or solo 401k plans. And that we also have a lot of FAQs which talk about the most commonly asked questions. So I'll pause with that. And please take a note of my contact information here. And you can also always reach out to Bobby. And thank you all for the opportunity. And hopefully you found the platform interesting.
All right. Thank you, Badri. Great job. Hey, Kamal, you are now the co-host. Let us know if you want to, you can do desktop share and all that. But a quick introduction about Kamal. Kamal's been, he's here locally in the Bay Area on the peninsula. He's done some amazing new construction projects. He's a licensed GC. He's always got some interesting videos on the projects that he's doing with all the trucks and the backhoes and the heavy equipment, that he's got under his command. So with that, Kamal, thank you for making the time. Let's share, your knowledge and how to keep GCs honest, how to find GCs, and most of the time, I find that projects that are not managed well by investors, they often go over budget. They go over the duration that they plan to complete it in. But if you just follow some of the tips from Kamal, you will save yourself a lot of pain, headaches, and money. So with that, Kamal, it's all yours.
Wonderful. First question, can everyone hear me, and can everyone see my slides?
I can. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Bobby, for the opportunity. It's always wonderful to work with you and present jointly to our audiences. most of the folks I meet through Bobby are involved with real estate. Some folks, of course, are building their own. Some folks are doing remodels. Some folks are doing flips. But in one way or another, folks who are doing some hands-on stuff usually are doing something related to improving or building something from scratch. For those folks, it's always a challenge to find a general contractor who's reliable, who will meet their budget, who will meet their schedules, who will be honest, who will take care of them, who will protect them. So all these things are really important. So I thought I'd put some slides on how you can find a great general contractor. What are the characteristics of one? A few things about construction laws that I'll describe as well. And most importantly, how do you protect yourself? How do you keep yourself out of trouble? Those things are key, I think. And with that, I thought I'd share some information with you. Every picture you see in my presentation is from one of our projects. We're very proud of our work. We do really good quality work. So I'm always happy to share pictures. So what we'll cover today are, what are the signs of a great general contractor? What are the key services you can expect a great general contractor to provide to you, whether you're in a design phase, whether you're in a permitting phase, whether you're in a construction phase. By the way, we do all of these. We can hold a customer from the very beginning in the design phase, knowing that by the time we start building that customer's project, it may be 9 to 12 months away, but we get engaged from the very beginning, and we basically work with them all through the end of the project when we hand over the keys. So, those are the key things. What can you expect from a great general contractor, whether you're in the design phase or you've applied for permits or now you've started construction? And then, as importantly, how do you verify a general contractor's background? What type of questions you should ask them? They may provide some references as well. What type of questions should you ask their references? So all these things are really important. The last one, which I really think is key, is such a big deal that I have a video on this particular subject on YouTube, which is, how do you deal with low bidders? How do you know that there's a low bidder? What are the risks of working with a low bidder? I see this over and over again. This, I think, is really the number one issue of failed projects or projects that get into trouble. We're all smart people. Folks in the Bay Area definitely think they're very smart. So they hire a bunch of GCs. Some of those folks may not even be licensed, and they pick the lowest bid. And that's where the problem starts. So this is such a big deal that I really want to address this and talk about it. So with that, what are the signs of a great general contractor? I believe that a great general contractor starts with the customer first, is so customer focused. They behave less as a separate entity. They work and behave as your partner in the project. The way we work our projects is, we believe that we'll only succeed if our customer succeeds. This is really a big deal for us. And by the way, I come from the technology industry. I worked for Amazon. That was my last corporate job. I learned this in Amazon. And again, I'm not trying to be an ambassador for the company, but I learned this at Amazon. If you do some searches on the internet, there are things called the Amazon leadership principles. And one of their key principles is, and you can see that the way they do business is, they're extremely customer focused. So when I started a full-time construction business, I said, that's a model I'm going to emulate. My entire business runs around being customer focused. That's very, very important. So a good GC behaves and acts like that and builds their business around that. They'll only succeed when the customer succeeds. So the other thing about a good general contractor is, they're empathetic towards the customer's budget. Whether I'm building for a customer that has a $250,000 budget or a $6 million budget, they all have a budget. So a great general contractor needs to make sure that they don't exceed the budget, within reason, of course. If the customer changes a bunch of things, of course, the budget changes. But from the early promise, from the early bids, from the contract that's written, they want to make sure that budget is preserved so the customer doesn't get into trouble, the project doesn't get into trouble. Knock on wood, the way we work, we have never exceeded budget. We always arrive on budget. That takes a lot of planning up front. We don't get paid for that planning, but that's important in order to deliver what we promise to deliver on budget. As importantly, a great general contractor also delivers on schedule. So the way we work, when we start a project, we share with our customers a schedule. We, of course, track it with project tracking software, and we share the schedule. These are the things we're going to do. These are the dates. These are the start dates. These are the finish dates, and so on. And as the project proceeds, we track that. With every invoice we give to our customer, for example, each invoice has three different things. Project on budget, yes. Project on schedule, yes. Work has been inspected by the city department, usually the building department in the city, yes. So with each invoice, we are communicating to our customers, yes, we are on budget, we are on schedule, all the work's been inspected by the city. So that's how we are so careful about meeting our budget, promises about meeting the budget as well as meeting the schedule. That's very important. Another thing to look for in a great general contractor is they should not be having money troubles. I've run into people in Silicon Valley, general contractors in Silicon Valley, who were quote unquote famous. They had been written about in our local newspaper, the Mercury News. And then you start to dig deeper into how that contractor was behaving, how he was running his business. And you peel the onion and you realize he was having serious money troubles. Those are the people you should avoid, because when the contractor is having money trouble, they can do all kinds of stuff that at the end of the day will come back to hurt you, the customer. Contractors who are unscrupulous, who are having money troubles, they could be diverting funds from one project to another. That's illegal, by the way. They could be asking you for large advances. That's illegal, by the way. Their invoices could be false. They may not be doing all the work. They may be cutting corners. At the end of the day, it hurts you. And if you're lucky, you can recover from it. Sometimes it ends up in the court system. So it's very important to make sure that your general contractor is not having money troubles. Also, you want to make sure that your general contractor is working within the law. They should have the printed contract, written contract in place with you. The contract has to state a few things by state law in general. The address of the project, the cost of the contract, what I call the project fee, start dates, finish dates, 3-day right to cancel, how change orders will be managed. All this has to be written up in the state of California by state law. So you should expect to see all this in the contract. What happens if you have to, if there are conflicts, how do you mediate and all that? So all that should be written up, and they should hand you a written contract with all this information. Also, they need to work within the law. In the state of California, a licensed general contractor cannot ask you for more than $1,000 in advance. So if a contractor comes to you and says, Mr. Customer, I understand your project, here's my contract, sign it. And by the way, please write a check for $60,000 so I can buy material and I can get started. That's your first red flag right there. A contractor cannot ask you for more than $1,000. So you write this guy a $60,000 check and you wonder if he'll come back, or he doesn't come back for 3 weeks and you wonder, he doesn't answer his phone for 3 weeks and you wonder. So you can protect yourself by knowing the law and make sure that your contractor is working within the law. They're not asking for large advances. The way we do this, we don't ask for any advances. We do the work, we get it inspected, then we send an invoice to the customer. Our customers can check either with paper records or with online records to the city that the work was inspected. So we are only invoicing and billing on completed work. In our business, we don't take any advances. If I run away, I lose money because we're putting in our own money until we invoice the customer. That's very, very important. A great general contractor also makes it very clear to the customer when the draws will happen. The draws means when they'll send you invoice for the work. Especially if a bank is involved, the bank needs to know that, if there's a construction loan, for example. So all that is really, really important. They don't want to surprise you. They want to put all this up front so that as the draws will happen, you can plan for things. If I'm going to send you an invoice for $200,000, you might not have $200,000 in your checking account. So if there's a draw schedule up front, you'll know that this invoice will be coming. So you'll have time to transfer the money into your accounts. So all that is really important. And if the contractor works hard to eliminate or reduce surprises, that's really a good general contractor. And finally, a contractor has to be competent. I put it last. You know why? There are lots of people who are working, who are general contractors, who are competent, but they don't deal with all these other things I just mentioned. So it results in a bad customer experience. I put competence at all the way at the bottom because that's a skill that can be learned. The other things I mentioned are attitudes, mindsets. Those are really important. Skills don't matter if you have the wrong mindset. So that's why I put the skill part all the way at the bottom. Uh, I'm not tracking any questions right now. We'll deal with questions later. Either type in your questions in the chat box, which I'm not looking at, or hold your questions until we get to the very end. With that, also a general contractor, a great general contractor knows it's a service business. I'm not really selling you a product per se. I'm providing a service for you. There's a set of plans I have. I have to meet state building codes. I have to meet city codes, city requirements. And more importantly, I have to meet the customer's requirement. What do they want to build? What's in the plans? So all that is a services business. I'm providing a service by meeting all these requirements. With that, a great general contractor also knows that the quality of communication is very important. In the Bay Area, our customers are used to what, again, I call the Amazon model. They order something, it appears, in the two-day prime window. They send an email, they get answers right away. They text message somebody, they get their answers right away. They expect a document, the document appears in their email inbox right away. Our customers in Silicon Valley expect that. So I provide the same level of service to our customers that they're used to. And that way, it's just a mode of business that they're used to. If your contractor is not returning emails in time, not returning phone calls in time, is slow in their written communication, is slow with their documents, all those will result in a poor customer experience. You don't want that. And once again, a great general contractor also is flexible with your project. You may want something, but your budget may not allow for that. So a great general contractor will help you find alternatives or substitutes that will fit your budget better. It may require some re-engineering, may require changes of some finishes, and I can talk about this all day long, but a great general contractor will find ways to have the right services and have the right materials that will fit your budget. And again, all that is done up front. All that requires a lot of planning. They don't get paid for it, but they should be expected to do all that work up front so that your project meets the budget. And then a great general contractor also will not operate just at a high level, but will dig into all the details needed, will take full ownership of delivering the project. And at the end of the day, they're fully accountable for their success. In the technology world, we say one throat to choke. That's the person you go to. That's the go-to person for your project. They should know all the details and they're accountable for your success, start to finish. And then finally, a good general contractor also should know other good people who are also service providers. So if I need to call a surveyor for one of my projects, or if I need to do some grading and drainage plans for which I need a civil engineer, or if something needs to be changed or built from a structural engineering perspective, or if I need soil tests done, I have all these people that are not new to me. We've tried them over and over from project A to project B to project C. So it's not just any network, it's a network of tried and true professionals. What does that do? That reduces my risk because I know how these people behave. I know these people will deliver. I know they will not overcharge. I know they're honest. So it reduces risk for me and it reduces risk for my customers because these people will deliver, they'll do a good job, and at the end of the day, the project will succeed. So a good general contractor should have a strong network like that so that they're the go-to person in anything else that's needed. They're resourceful, they can find you that information or those people, those professionals very, very quickly. So that's really important, keep that in mind. Also, in the construction phase, again, it's a services business. A great general contractor knows that they're providing a service. So they should be able to provide that quality of communication that the Silicon Valley customer expects. What I do at job sites, I take pictures, I send there's a regular cadence of reporting I perform for all my projects. So my customers, keep getting all that information. Sometimes I post videos and share with them. And I do ask customers, am I giving you too much information? And people seem to love what we share with all the details of a project that's already ongoing. And as I said, a great general contractor takes full ownership. So let's give you an example there. What a lot of contractors do is they're in a hurry to get the contract signed. The customer signs the contractor is there, he's been meeting the customer so far. After the contractor has gotten the contract signed, the customer never sees that person again. That person who signed the contract with them, that person who runs the business or is doing sales for the business, the customer never sees the person, especially if that person is the owner of the business. That person assigns a different person to the project. That person has no history, doesn't have skin in the game, is not the owner of the business. And all of a sudden, it's a shock to the customer. The customer says, well, Mr. Contractor, I was working with you for the last 4 months. You were always in front. You always were doing things. You were answering questions. And as soon as I signed the contract, you're gone. What happened? We don't work that way. A great general contractor will not work that way. I'm the owner of the business. It's my neck on the line. I'm fully accountable. I'm the one who's interacting with the customer throughout the life cycle of the project. I am present at all the inspections. If anything happens, I know it intimately. So that's what you should expect from a great general contractor. They're completely involved, completely responsible. They don't vanish as soon as the contract is signed. Again, a great general contractor also has a professional crew. If I'm accountable, I want to hire people who are accountable to me. What are signs of a professional crew? They don't, so by my own contract with my own crew, a written contract with my own crew, they cannot play loud music at the job site. They cannot eat at the job site. Of course, they cannot drink alcohol at the job site. They cannot smoke at the job site. With the COVID time frame, they all have to wear masks. They have to wear gloves. They have to sign in and out so we can do contact tracing if needed. That's what you should expect from a professional crew. They wear a uniform. You can identify that they're folks from my crew. So all those things are really important. And as my crew is professional, as they talk to the customers, it of course builds my reputation and increases customer satisfaction. That's what we are seeking at the end of the day. And again, a great general contractor also is communicating with the customer, informing them of the process. As I mentioned earlier, at least at the cadence of every invoice, we're updating our customers on all these things, but I also send out emails and provide status updates. Today, for example, we poured a ton of concrete in a basement, pretty big basement we're building. So I took pictures and I told the customer, the structural engineer and the architect, look, we poured concrete today. Here are the pictures. So people are happy when they see progress. And of course, it's very visual. People like that very much. And also during the construction phase, a great general contractor is looking at things on a day-by-day basis so that they can reduce execution risk, they can reduce surprises for themselves and for their customer. And at the end of the day, it results in us meeting schedules, it results in us meeting budgets. And also, if there are change orders, if anything has to be changed, sometimes a change order happens because of something in the field, or sometimes it happens because of what a customer wants. We are very quick to deal with that, and there's a legal process to deal with it. We're quick to deal with that. Mr. Customer, instead of this finish, you want that other finish. It'll cost you this much extra. Here's everything in writing. All the specifications are in writing. Please sign it, and we'll move on with it. So later on, when we invoice against it, when we send an invoice for that, our customer is not surprised. They agreed to a change order, and by law it's required, and they signed it. So when we send that invoice, we send the copy of the change order with it, with their signature. So again, it's a reminder to them that they approved it, so there are no surprises for them. All these things are really important. They comply with the law, and most importantly, they provide for a great customer experience because we're reducing surprises for them. So how do you verify a contractor's background? And again, assuming it's a licensed general contractor, they should have, number one, a clean record with the state licensing board, with the contractor state licensing board. cslb.ca.gov is their website. Also, they should have a clean record with the county courts, any county that they work in. In the Bay Area, it's a 6-county area, so it takes you minutes to verify a contractor's record with 6 counties. All these systems are online. You can go to the county court system of the particular county and just search for a contractor's company name or their own name. And if there are any histories of lawsuits filed by that contractor or lawsuits filed against him, they'll show up. Or if a contractor filed a mechanics lien, that will show up. So it's very, very important to work with somebody who has a long, clean track record, both with the contractor state licensing board as well as with the county courts. Then, if they have not caused any trouble for anybody, if nobody else has caused them trouble, the odds are very high that they won't cause any trouble for you. The other thing it tells you, let's say you find something in a contractor's record, either with the CSLB or with the county court. What that tells you is they didn't work hard enough to resolve the issue. It takes a lot of trouble for something to get to the court system or something to get to the CSLB, where the CSLB will make a notation somewhere. What that means is this contractor just did not want to help the customer, walked away from a problem that could have been resolved. So that's again a big red flag. You don't want to see that. You want a general contractor with an absolutely clean record. So that's really important. Also make sure that they have a current liability insurance, they have a current bond. The CSLB, the state licensing board, also lists who carries the liability insurance, who carries the bond for the contractor. You can also call those companies and make sure there have been no complaints against them. There have been no claims against the liability insurance or the bond. All that is really important. So that way, again, that this contractor has a clean record. The other thing is you want to make sure this contractor is operating in their own company name or operating in their name. Sometimes the contractor may not have an LLC. They may be operating in their own name. What you do want to know is they're not operating in their uncle's name. They're not operating in their brother's name. Why is that important? That tells you that they may have lost their license and now they're borrowing somebody's name to work. And that's a big red flag. Again, so a big deal. It's a big deal if a contractor has lost their license, because there are many avenues they have to fix issues before they lose their license. And this person just didn't care and lost their license. That's a big deal. Also, you want to make sure that whichever contractor you're dealing with, they're providing you with a street address in their paperwork, in their contract. They're not providing you with a PO box. They're not living out of a PO box. The way we do business, our street address is with the CSLB. When you go to the Contractor State Licensing Board's website and you verify our license, our street address shows up. You can verify it's not a PO box, it's not a UPS place, not a mailing location. It's an actual, street address. Also, a great contractor will provide you with recent references, not something that I built 5 years ago. These are people for whom I built 3 months ago or 6 months ago. You should expect that. And also, a great general contractor will take you to their job sites, show you how clean the job sites are, show you that people who are working are getting along with each other, not fighting. There are no arguments going on. When they meet the boss, when they meet the general contractor, they're happy with the general contractor. That again is a subtle message to you that the general contractor is taking care of their people, paying them on time, not having any issues with them. So all these things are somewhat subtle, but you should be able to track it down. A great general contractor also will have a crew that does not have any churn or much churn. When I look at my crew for all the years I've been working as a general contractor, I've had 0 churn in my crew. Why is that? I mean, you can meet people who worked with me from my very first job ever that is still working with me now. Why is that? Because I pay them on time, I take good care of them, I understand them, I talk to them well. All these things are really important, and you should expect that from a great general contractor. Not only am I servicing my customers really well, I'm also servicing my crew really well. Without my crew, I'm not worth anything. They're the ones doing the work in the field. So that's really important. And as you see people's body language at the job site, you can pick that up. How do people look at the general contractor? How do the crews deal with the general contractor? If they're all happy, they trust the guy, there's a good mutual feeling of trust and happiness, all that is really, really important to observe. So now it comes to asking questions of a general contractor, as well as checking references, which will be the next slide. So these are the questions you should ask a general contractor. What type of projects do you do? Is this person suitable for your projects? For example, you may want to do new construction. This person's never done new construction. They've only done remodels. They've only done fix and flips. That's really important to know. Also, Mr. Contractor, are you flexible with my requirements? I want to do this and I want to do that. Is that okay with you? Can we make it work? All that is really important. And again, test them, put them on the spot. So Mr. Contractor, once we sign a contract, how much advance will you ask for? As the project continues, how much of an advance will you be asking for? And if the person says, you know, when the contract is signed, I want you to give me a check for $50,000, that's your red flag right there. And check with them. Do they understand what they're talking about? Do they understand the law? If they are licensed, they're expected to understand the law. And if they're still asking for that advance, you should just walk away. That person is knowingly breaking the law, and that's not the right thing to do. So next thing you should also ask them upfront is, what's your draw schedule? How will you be charging for the work as the work proceeds? How will you invoice? Is there a cadence to your invoicing? Is there something else that triggers an invoice? How does that work? Sit down and explain that to me, so you can expect that answer back from them. And also, especially important for the Bay Area customer, how will that contractor report progress to the homeowner or to the customer? How, at what cadence? How will that be recorded? Will they be calling you? Will they be sending you an email? All that stuff. So, you know, check all that, how that will happen. And also ask to see their contract up front. What we do is, when we see that a customer is getting interested in working with us, we send them our sample contract. Here's what our contract looks like. Review it. If you have any questions, let us know. So we again are reducing surprises. By the time we ask them to sign a contract, they've already seen it. So it's not something that they've never seen before that will surprise them. So that's important. And again, a fair question to from the customer is, Mr. General Contractor, what will be my biggest challenge? And see what type of answer they give you. That also is very, very important. It gives you an idea of what they've dealt with before, what they expect from you, and all that good stuff. Another question that just came to my mind, I should have put it here, is, Mr. General Contractor, how many projects do you do at one time? That also is a very fair question. You want to make sure that person is not spread so thin that they're going to have trouble. So all those things are important. Look at how they dress, look at how clean their shoes are, look at what car they drive. And again, I'm not saying that you have to judge them in a way, but all those things will give you an idea of whether that person's having money trouble or not. That's really important. Also, the contractor will give you references. What type of questions should you be asking those references? Some of the questions that are important, I think I've listed here. You know, does this general contractor have integrity? Do you think they offered a fair price? Do you think they ever overcharged me? Do you think they were dishonest at any point in time? Did this contractor work hard to make sure that they met the budget, that they met the schedule? That's really important. Were there slips in the budget or the schedule? Was that the customer's fault? Was it the general contractor's fault? All that is really important. When the project finished, was there a good, friendly atmosphere between the general contractor and the customer, or do they never want to see each other again? Fortunately, the way we work, a lot of our customers end up becoming our friends, and sometimes they send us holiday cards, greeting cards. They check on us from time to time. They send us pictures of them and their families from time to time. You know, it becomes really, really interesting because they have treated us for 8 or 12 months as a part of their success, as a partner in the success. And all this becomes really interesting. And I love that experience because we've been with them every step of the way. And even after the project is done, they appreciate that and they remember us. That's really important. And also ask the references. Does this general contractor treat their crews respectfully? Do you see them fighting, yelling, arguing? Do they treat their clients respectfully? Has he ever raised his voice? Has he ever yelled at you? There may be disagreements from time to time. Sometimes the customers don't know building codes. They may ask to do X, Y, and Z, and the general contractor may say, look, if we did it, we'll fail the next inspection. Sometimes the customer may want to make changes from what's in the plans, and the general contractor says, yes, we can make changes, but it'll set you back a few months because the building inspector will come and say, send revised plans to the city and wait until the city reviews and approves the plans, and then we can move forward. So a great general contractor is continuously educating their customers in case any of these things is likely to happen. So all this is really, really important. And again, did the general contractor stick to what was agreed upon in writing in the contract, a price, a schedule, the type of finishes, the quality of finishes? Were there surprises? I mean, what we do is for expensive items, air conditioners, for example, or finishes, for example, sometimes if expensive doors are involved. We installed a door last week that cost $11,000. So when these type of things are involved, our contract actually has model numbers of these things, model number of the expensive door, model number of the expensive air conditioning unit. So we don't play that game that we are vague and we say we'll put in any air conditioning unit and we go in and we put the cheapest one. We don't do that. That will result in a disappointed customer. What we agree upon earlier, we put it in our contract. So we are committing to it and there are no surprises. We get nothing out of having an unhappy customer. So we make sure it doesn't happen. And then there may be some issues. The customer may want something else done this way and they may change their mind. All of a sudden that creates an issue because now we are deviating from what was agreed upon or what was in the plan. So the question is, did the general contractor work hard to resolve such issues? Was the general contractor responsive? If you emailed him, how soon does he respond to emails? If you call him, do you always get a voicemail? Or do you hear that the voicemail is full? Those are all red flags. Those are things to be careful about. Before a day is over, I'm responding to all my emails. I'm responding to phone calls within an hour of them arriving. Those are very, very important things. My customers are busy, but taking care of them is my responsibility. That should be the attitude of a great general contractor. And again, a key question is, would you hire this general contractor again? That's a very important question to ask their references. And finally, any caveats I should be aware of, and that's when you want to see if that person can remember anything that was unpleasant, anything that caused a surprise, anything they didn't like. So that question should capture that all. And then this is my last slide before I get to contact information. This is really, really important. If you learn and understand nothing else tonight, at least pay attention to this one. This is where the trouble starts. How does this happen? So people, I see that a lot, especially in the Bay Area. People are getting bids from multiple contractors. There are always unscrupulous ones. These are the guys who give the business a bad name. General contractors know that this customer only cares about price. That's the only metric this customer cares about. They can sniff it out. In the communication, they can tell that that's all the customer cares about. So what that general contractor does is they say, I'm going to give this guy the lowest bid because I know he'll bite on it. That's all he cares about. So this general contractor who's unscrupulous, who's unethical, they will give a low bid knowing that they cannot build within that price. They'll give that low bid to get the job. Why is that? Well, why do they want the job so badly? Maybe because that general contractor is unscrupulous, the word has gotten around, they've lost customers, they're afraid of now going and finding new customers and meeting the budget. So what they do is they say, any customer that comes my way, I'm going to take that project. At any cost, I'll underbid so that I get that job because they're desperate, they need the money, they're idle, they need to either pay themselves or pay their guys. So they'll underbid on purpose to get the job. What does the customer do? The customer says, great, that's the contractor I was looking for because he offered me the lowest price. Here, where do I sign? They sign the contract. The customer is happy. The general contractor says, good, I got a live one. They start the work. Halfway during the job, they realize, by the way, I don't think I can make money on this project. So what do? They'll find ways to raise the price, or they'll try to cut corners somewhere. They'll cut costs here and there, so quality has an impact. Or they'll be eager to run away. They'll be eager to abandon the project. In all these cases, who suffers? The customer suffers. The customer has a bad experience. They know that their budget is short. That creates a lot of stress in the environment. That creates bad energy between the customer and the general contractor. And unfortunately, a lot of times, a customer is out of money by that point when more money is needed. It creates a really bad experience for everyone. Unfortunately, the unscrupulous general contractors do this. It's very common in the business, but it starts with the customer. It starts with the customer seeking out the lowest bidder. So that's a really bad idea. Be very careful with this. This is such a big deal. I have a video on this on YouTube under my channel, in my YouTube channel. The other thing that's important is if a customer bails, if a customer fires the general contractor, or if the general contractor bails the project because of these reasons I specified, and the customer now wants a different general contractor to pick up the project, they may not do that for liability reasons. Why would I take liability on something I have not built? If something breaks or something happens or something that causes injury or death, my insurance company wouldn't cover it. I didn't build that thing. So that's a risk for me. So I wouldn't pick up that project. So a lot of general contractors simply will not touch a project that has started already, that they did not participate in. Their insurance will not cover it. So all those things are red flags. And it starts with the customer accepting the lowest bid. So be very, very careful with this. And finally, I'll present this slide with my contact information. My website is there. My phone number is there. My license number is there. And also my YouTube channel, where you'll find videos that cover these areas: construction laws in California, contractor red flags, and also a bunch of videos from a bunch of our projects, some of those that Bobby has seen. So you're welcome to go and check out those videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thanks again, Bobby, for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Great job, Kamal. As always, folks, if you're, we are all in real estate. So at some point or another, we have to work with GCs. See if you can pick up some of the points that Kamal laid out, and see if you can make your life a little bit easier by keeping your contractors in check, making sure they know that you know the laws. So that's important. But reach out to Kamal if you got any questions. But it's important to know what you're getting into. A lot of the fix and flips, a lot of the rehabs fail because you miscalculate on the rehab cost or the rehab time or the permits required, and so on and so forth. So thank you, Kamal. Thank you for always being there to educate and help our members. With that, I want to turn it over to Benson from Privy. Privy is one of my favorite platforms for finding deals across the country, not in every market, but in many markets. Hey, Benson, how are you? Benson from Denver, Colorado. You'll have to probably unmute yourself.
There we go.
There we go. There
everyone.
We go.
I was just having my dinner.
I know. It's late.
My nuts.
It's late over there, but thank you for making the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. So, look, I'm going to let Benson do the whole demo and everything, but there's something really special about their platform, and the platform is evolving, and I happen to know the company really well, and they're adding a bunch of new features. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of markets that are going to open up. There's a lot of new data that's going to flow into the system. But they're a startup out of Denver, Colorado, and I love startups. I've got my own startup, so I empathize and I love what other entrepreneurs are working on. And Benson and Scott are just wonderful people. Benson answers my emails and text messages on a Sunday, on a Saturday, on a evening, and so really appreciate that, Benson. With that, you're a co-host. Tell us what you and the company have been up to.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, Bobby. I really appreciate it. And the earlier presenters did a great job. I learned a lot from both of them. I actually got a chance to see the Avestor one, which was cool because him and I had talked last week. We just connected on LinkedIn. So I don't know if it was just a coincidence or if it was the universe telling us to talk. But what's cool about this business is it's it seems big. It's like a small community, right? A lot of people know each other, and it's fun and exciting. So I've been doing this for over 15 years now. And when I mean this, I mean real estate, right? So I started out in the business back after I got out of the military, and I was looking for something to kind of do to, generate some income and do some cool things. I went to school for technology, so I got my degree in computer information systems. But funny enough, I didn't use my degree up until recently. I just was big into business. I got into some retail stuff. I did some fix and flips, some other real estate activities. I'm currently a licensed agent. And, so I do a lot of things in the business. So I've got a good perspective on a lot of the things that are out there. And I want to share some of that stuff with you guys because we get so far into our niches, like what we know and the people we surround ourselves with. And a lot of people haven't really had the opportunity to kind of see how data and technology and software can help them. And so I'm going to show you a quick slideshow and then we'll jump in a bit. But what's something that's cool about Privy's? We've been around for over 8 years. And even before it was, in vogue to do stuff virtually, this is what we were talking about for many years. And so we've been teaching people that you are no longer have to be limited by where you're located, where you currently live. A lot of investors invest based off of convenience. So, where they work or live, or they go to church, or, if they do anything remote at all, they feel like they have to have some connection there. Like my cousin lives in Chicago, so I'm going to invest there. And I can understand that perspective because they don't know, the other way of doing it. So you can invest right from behind your own computer safely. You can invest in multiple cities, not just the one that you're located. And you can leverage data and technology to do much of the heavy lifting for you. But one of the key things that we teach people with the education we've built into the software is that you want to do it based off of what other investors are already having success with. And what we call this is market intelligence. So with our direct data in the markets we're currently doing business in, and we're currently in 20 different states, but we will be nationwide starting in February with a brand new nationwide public record data set, which is going to allow our users to have access to even more leads. But in market intelligence is what's happening on the ground, right? There's a lot of education out there, and the majority of it is theory, right? So, there's the books and the podcast and the gurus, and, even like what we're doing tonight, a lot of this is theory, and all education is good. I just want you to see another perspective. There's a kind of education that you can layer into what you're currently doing that could make you an expert investor in your target market by actually seeing what's happening on the ground. So we'll be able to show you, what's happening on the ground, where the hot areas are at, where you should be real estate investing, but it's done through access to the real-time data that allows you to basically find and analyze deals automatically. So this is going to provide you additional deal flow. You're going to be able to basically leverage the time resource that you have. Right? It's our greatest commodity. And make sure that you're getting exponential value out of it instead of spending your time on tedious tasks like running comparables and administration type things. We try to get a lot of that work into the system where it's kind of working behind the scenes, and then you can spend time taking action, writing offers, setting up showings, going to closings, building your team, negotiating deals, like all the stuff where the money is made. But it's done off of the market research. So market intelligence comes into our system real time, and you're able to find where you should be investing. Now, there's a strategy behind this that will allow you to get so many more deals done. I was just talking with one of my clients who's an investor and an agent in Chicago, and he's been able to find about 50 deals that he got from Privy this year, and it's because he uses our layered approach. And basically, what he said is he ran the numbers. I mean, through their brokerage, a 46% acceptance rate on offers that they submitted. Now, every market's different, and I can show you, the Chicago market if you're interested. But we are going to focus on the Bay Area. So basically, what we've done is we've given you the ability to get access to this data, so you can take some of the power back. Right, you're able to kind of search for deals on your own timeline, on your own time clock. If you want to search for deals on a Sunday night and run comparables on your own, you should be able to do that, right? And I think every investor should have a good investor-focused agent on their team. But one thing you shouldn't do is rely on them for everything, right? You want them as a sounding board. You want them there to put together a strategy, submit offers, negotiate deals. But once you get more involved in the process as an investor, you're basically able to determine a lot of this stuff on your own. And what ends up happening about that is that you understand what drives the business. And in this business, it's all about after repair value. And what a lot of people do, and when I say people, I mean investors, and we're all entrepreneurs, right? And what we end up doing is we end up trying to find free ways of doing things. We end up trying to do everything ourselves, and we end up trying to basically hack situations, right? And those are good attributes as an entrepreneur, but it doesn't always serve us in the ways that we would hope it would. And so one of those things is like ARV. So we end up going to places like Zillow, or we rely on our agent to do all of the comparable work. And basically what happens is you become dependent at that point. And that's okay for some investors. Some investors would prefer to be completely passive. But I feel like a lot of us get in this business because of our entrepreneurial objectives, which is to make money, and we want to have a hand in it. And so what that does is you are able to basically be more involved in the process by the technology I'm going to show you tonight. So, don't just rely on this stuff over here. Make sure you're getting access to the best data. Make sure it's real time. Make sure that you're leveraging algorithms, because, at the end of the day, comping and determining ARV, it's more of an art than it is a science. And some of that takes time to learn. But what I'm going to show you tonight is we've baked much of that information into Privy so you can automate the process. Just a couple notes about on market versus off market. Every good investor should have multiple sources of deal flow. I'm going to show you some stuff tonight that may change the way you think about where deals are located, but there's deals on all sides. It's probably 50-50 or even a little bit more on market where the deals are being found. So just don't ignore one side or the other. Make sure you've got multiple sources of deal flow. That way, if one of your sources dries up, or the ebbs and flows of the business won't affect your bottom line because you've got them coming in from different directions. So there's a lot of pros and cons of both of these. So let me jump into a demo here, and I want to show you guys how this works. So here's Privy. Privy, it's a web-based software application. You can access it from any device that has an internet connection. We just launched a new mobile optimized version that's responsive and will allow you to work and use this in the field to run comparables and search for deals, and support your efforts if you're driving for dollars or anything like that. But what you're looking at right here is a map that is displaying what we called investor activity. So I ran a quick search looking for properties that have been renovated up to a maximum of 70%. And so this is displaying this on the map. Now, It's a heat map. Red is the hottest, blue's the coldest. These areas in between, like Kansas City, we're not there yet, but we will be. So if I zoom in one more level, now we're starting to get numbers, right? So like, look at Chicago. I told you about our client out there, Christian Chase. You know, there's 2,200 deals that have been done there in the last 12 months. I'm in Denver, and this is a pretty competitive market. There's about 500 deals here. And so what this helps you do is it helps you put together a better strategy on where you should be targeting. I know that the prices in the Bay Area are pretty challenging, right? There's a lot of people that don't invest in that market because the obstacles of getting those kinds of loans, right? You need quite a bit of money down sometimes. So if you don't have good liquidity, it could be a challenge to invest there. So, you know, you can look at other markets. I've been told by many people in the Bay Area that they're looking elsewhere for rentals as well because they can't cash flow in certain areas there. So, you know, there's other areas, you know, Philadelphia is hot. Indianapolis is up and coming. Nashville is really challenging right now. That's not a place that I would start off if I had a choice. Middle Florida looks really good. But now if we come over here to the West Coast, you can start to see some of these numbers, right? So look at like the greater Los Angeles area, you know, San Diego. And so, you know, this is showing you where some of these hot areas are at. Now, if I zoom into kind of the general area of where we're talking about, now you can see where in your market specifically the hot areas are. So the red is the hottest and blue is the coldest, right? So the average investor, what they would do is if they lived in Danville, right? Maybe that's where they would go drive for dollars or knock on doors, or, you know, if they were going to do bandit signs, like they would do this because it's convenient, right? And, you know, if they were going to do anything that was away from this, like they would maybe do it on the path to where they go to work every day. And sometimes that works, you know, it's coincidentally because, you know, sometimes you find opportunities. But what we've learned through the usage of this data is that you can actually put together a better strategy on where you should be looking for deals. Because if you target high investor activity areas like this, a bunch of different things happen. So I mentioned Christian. What happens if you're in a high investor activity area is it pulls up the values of the homes in that area. So think about a scale, right? It's from 0 to 10. The 10 is what the values of the homes are, and 0 is where your offer needs to be for your maximum level offer. Everything in between is your margins that you're going to put in your pocket and your costs. Now, when you're in a high investor activity like this with the 62, what happens is it pushes this over to where the values now are higher. But at the same time, it's pulling the back end up, which is where your offer can be. So if you're in an area where there's high investor activity, you could submit higher offers there because the values in that neighborhood are driven by fix and flip comparables. Now, the opposite is true. If you're in an area like, Orinda, it gets pushed down, right? So there's not as much investor activity there. The values in those neighborhoods aren't as high, and your maximum allowable offer now is lower. So if you do a little bit of research and you avoid areas where there's low investor activity, then you don't have to submit as many lowball offers, which means that your acceptance rate can go up and you'll be able to maximize your return on investment because you've now got the data to prove ARV. So whether you're wholesaling, fix and flipping, buy and hold, people are normally thinking about fix and flip activity. What's the ARV going to be? The best way to prove after repair value is to use the fix and flips in the neighborhood that were just flipped as comparables, right? That's the easiest way to prove ARV. So if you're in an area like this where you can see all the fix and flips, so these are all actual deals that were closed that were better than 70%. So if they got it at 50, 30, 60%, it would be included in these results. And then we can look at these properties to see exactly what they did to them. So if I open this home up, we can see the before and after data in this format, which is called a live comparative market analysis. So this is the real-time data, and you can see exactly what kind of construction they used. You can see what kind of materials. You can see, where they spent their money. Like, look at this kitchen right here. Now you can see, like this is, a little bit more, higher end, right? You can see kind of the quality by looking at this, and you can learn a lot about this. A lot of investors, get in this business because they watch HGTV, and next thing you know is they're trying to make their houses look like that, right? And that's not a good approach, because it depends on the neighborhood. Many of the neighborhoods in the Bay Area are nicer, so you're going to have higher end appliances and better finishes. But at least let the data tell you what that is, right? Don't just base it off of your gut, or maybe even what you would want. A lot of people think, well, I wouldn't live in this neighborhood, or I wouldn't want that countertop. So that they do what they would want, and that isn't a good way of doing it. So right here is the subject property. So it's in the middle, and these are all the real-time comparables. So down here is all the real-time comparables that we've filtered using our comping algorithms. So the comping algorithms uses the same approach as I would as an agent or an appraiser would, but you can do it much faster. So even as an agent, if I wanted to do this same analysis manually, which is what the average agent has to do, it could take them hours to do it. But now with this technology, you can do it all in a fraction of a second. And so you can quickly determine your after repair value, and you can see all of the active, under contract, pending comparables. And it's all based off of the major property characteristics of the homes, like square feet, stories, bedrooms, bathrooms, property type, property style. It's all baked into the algorithm, and it's updated live. So as we get updates from the local MLS, it's updated here. So you're always looking at the most current information. We also pull in rental data. So if you're building a portfolio, or you're a wholesaler and you have buyers that are doing a buy and hold or the BRRRR approach, you've got rental data you can put into that marketing pack. And then we also got the before and after. So this house was originally flagged as a deal by Privy in July. So if you'd been a Privy user at that point, you would have noticed this. Now, we just launched the Bay Area, so we wouldn't have shown you that market because we didn't have the data yet. But this goes to show, what actually happens here is because we had CRMLS, which is the Southern California, and it goes up and there's data share there. So we've got a lot of that data, even for areas we're not exactly in, like Sacramento, for example. So they purchased this thing for $365,000, sold it for $660,000. So you had a $295,000 gross profit, right? So that doesn't include what they put into the home, but we know it was flipped, right? So if we got it for $365,000, they can sell it. They sold it for $660,000. I like to shorten it, and I did on the back end here, 660. So 55% of ARV on market. And think about what you do to find leads, right? Are you spending a bunch of money on mailing campaigns? Are you doing cold calling? Are you knocking on doors? I think a lot of people get in this business because they want to invest in real estate, and they see these shows and they hear the gurus, but then they get in and they realize, oh my gosh, I have to be a professional salesperson. I have to, perfect my sales scripts and learn marketing campaigns and try to determine, exactly what kind of ink to put on the postcard that I'm going to mail out. And you're learning that at the same time you're trying to learn real estate, and it's overwhelming, right? And so when you're doing that, things start to fall through the cracks, right? So you're not doing everything you need to do to succeed. You're not getting enough offers out. Your numbers maybe don't make sense. And then this is why a lot of investors burn out, right? The numbers that we see from some of these publications is up to 95% of people who start in this business never get anywhere because of a lot of those challenges they're up against. But we can definitely help you generate additional deal flow by doing some on-market stuff. And by the way, starting in February, we're going to be launching our new national public record off-market data set that includes a lot of this valuable information that investors are paying a lot of money for to get access to, but it's all going to be in the Privy system. So we're going to have the assessor's data, owner information, mortgage and deed data, transaction history, all the stages of the different foreclosure steps, short sales, liens, bankruptcies, divorces, vacancies, and absentee owners. So this is a lot of new lead data that we're going to be able to provide for you. And you'll be able to do cool searches like show me every property in San Diego that's in foreclosure, is vacant, and has an absentee owner, right? So then our algorithm will run, it'll find all those properties, generate a list, and then you can do with it what you want to do with it. But it's all going to be in one place. And when those properties are found, they'll be automatically comped out right here in the system. And then you're able to kind of do some of that work, right? So you and your agent can operate more on a good level where everybody's communicating and speaking the same language, because your agents, they want to help you get these deals done. But it's great when everyone's speaking the same language, and the investor is more educated on what's going on and has the confidence to pull the trigger on deals when it makes sense. Because oftentimes, people get kind of stuck on the numbers, and they hem and haw, and they procrastinate, and they hesitate, and next thing you know, deals are gone, right? So what do those deals even look like, right? So now that we're in a hot area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the algorithm over from sold to active. And real estate agents, by the way, the agents that are on the call right now, you can actually set this up to send you the opportunities and send it to your clients, so that your clients can actually get those in their inbox, and then already pre-comped out and ready to go. But let's look at what's available right now in this market based off of this investor activity, and being in an area where we've got good fix and flip comparables. So I'm going to run this analysis, and I will think I'm going to back out a little bit here, but here are some of the opportunities that are available in this general area. So this one right here is for sale for $699, and the property is a nice little bungalow, right? What does it say? First time for sale since 1967, right? So this house hasn't been listed in a long time, maybe never since it was acquired. And we flagged this property as a deal because of these comparables right here. So the algorithms made sure we've gotten rid of all of the properties that are too big, too small, too far away. And then we looked for that minimum of a 30% margin based off of this amount. Now, I'm the one to put this in here, and you can put it at whatever level is best for your business. But I like to actually have a wider net, because that way you don't miss out on opportunities where you could offer, a little bit less, or maybe the house doesn't need a full renovation. It just needs some updating or paint carpet. You may pass up on deals that way if your criteria is too tight or too low. But looking at this one right here, if you can get it for $699, right? We're not even talking about negotiating a better deal here, which of course you could potentially do. And the ARV is right around 1 million to 1.1. Let's just say 1.05. Oops. So it's at 66%, right? So this is actually an opportunity that would make sense here. And those higher percentages of ARVs are a little bit easier from my experience to see that to get deals done because of the larger margins. Like a piece of drywall for $1 million home is the same as it is for a $50,000 home, right? So the percentage of the overall cost on a smaller house is greater, right, proportionately than it is on a more expensive house like this. So that one is definitely one you would want to check out. So that's 2951 62nd Avenue. Let's look at this next property. This is for sale for $549. It is an absolute mess. It looks like they've got some hoarding situations going on, and it needs quite a bit of work, but look at the house. Like, it's got some decent curb appeal, and it's got that kind of Adobe stucco thing going on. And then when we look at the comparables, look at all of these little blue dots. So the more blue dots there are, the more supporting data there is that shows this thing is better than 70%. And when I look at the comparables here, the closest sold comps, this one went for 810, 875, 860. This one down here, we can actually see the before and after, so we can get a sense of, what they actually did to the house. What kind of construction is appropriate, what kind of design, right? This takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for you. As an agent, I can look at this and I can I can be a better trusted advisor for my client. And I can say, you know, this is what the house down the street looks like. And you can take a lot of the guesswork out of it for your clients. And then you can see, you know, what they bought it for, what they sold it for. So down here, they got it for 517, sold it for 849. This one's available for 549. And they actually, looks like they actually built this wall scenario. That's interesting. So this one also looks like a decent deal you'd want to go look at. Now, when you find a house that you're interested in, all you do is you click share, and then you grab this link, and you can either send it directly from Privy. This is an email template. Agents, you can send it directly from here to your clients. If you're an investor, you can send it to your agent. You can send it to your hard money lender, your contractors, to get, you know, second opinions and kind of collaborate with your team. So it makes it really easy to do that because the data is all here. You can track them live. So that's another deal, right? I'm actually, let me put this in the chat here for anybody here that's interested in actually writing an offer on it. So I'll just put this here in the chat. And I hope somebody writes an offer on it. But there's a bunch of them here. I mean, here's another one. It's for sale for $499, right? The house needs some work. It's mostly original. It's got these old kind of appliances, and the bathroom, you can tell, is from the 60s. And then again, this is in Highline Terrace, if you guys know that area. And we've got fix and flips in the area. And one of the closest comparables just went for $742, $725. So there's some margins on these too. Let's see what else we got here. This one's at $388. Cash only, no FHA. Like, this is all the stuff that, you know, really kind of lights your eyes up. You know, handyman special. You know, I know many people who use keywords to search for deals, but a much better way to search for deals is to actually look for the margins. You know, any agent can put those keywords in there and attract you to it. Now you're spending time wasting looking at a property that has no margins. Whereas this, the algorithm has already looked for the margins, right? So when we're looking at this one here that was just sold 600, yours is at 388. This is a house, again, that you would want to take a look at. So I'm going to share this one with the group, 1155 62nd Avenue. Now, once you have the search set up, all you do is just save it, and then the algorithm will do all the heavy lifting for you behind the scenes. That way, you're just going in and actually just looking at the alerts. So these will come over pre-comped out as they become available on the market, so you can take quick action and actually go and write offers on these things quickly. And so again, this is all stuff that's on market that you didn't have to go and search for, spend a bunch of money on. You didn't have to, you know, be the dog the bounty hunter and skip trace them and try to track them down. Like this is, it's just writing offers. It's the essence of real estate investing. You're not a marketer, you're not a salesperson. You are writing offers on properties. Also, too, we give you the ability to run comps on any property you find on or off market. Doesn't matter where it comes from. You just enter the address right in here to the search bar, and the algorithm will pull those comparables. And so you can quickly determine what the offer needs to be, so you can get that offer out and make some good margins there. So Bobby, you popped in here. Did you have a question?
No.
So this is the basics. I'm done at 9 o'clock, right? Or is that
8 more? Yeah.
8 minutes. Okay, cool. So you guys, thanks for hanging in with me there. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. But I wanted to also give everybody an opportunity to get set up in the software. And I want to show you basically what we set out to do. So my goal when we first built this was to help ourselves as investor-focused agents more easily find and analyze deals, leveraging data and technology. We were just spending way too much time behind the computer searching for deals. And again, this is me with the data, right? And having access to that. But with automation, you can basically eliminate the majority of the work by getting rid of all those properties that make no sense. So if there's 100 properties that come on the market tomorrow, 80 to 90 or even more than those would not be deals no matter what. So think about your typical day where you're running comps and stuff. The majority of the time you're running comps on properties that you're going to say no to anyway. So what if I can get rid of all of those for you and allow you to focus in on the 10 to 5% of those properties that have good comparables and make sense, either at asking price or slightly below. And the algorithm, again, is doing that heavy lifting for you. So you basically are able to focus on money-making activities and get those offers out the door so you can get that deal flow and get those deals that are so hard to find. So, Privy is a great tool for real estate investors who are doing fix and flip. If you're doing wholesale, buy and hold, all different experience levels. We've got people who have done their very first deal with Privy. And we've got clients who are doing dozens. I got a client right now who's trying to get over 100 deals this year. And, it's possible when you leverage data and technology. So this is who we're working with. Now, again, it's all over the US. A lot of people that are using Privy aren't even in the US, right? Because you can do all this remotely. If you want to invest in Chicago or Tampa or Dallas, you can do it with Privy. We'll also, like I said, showed you tonight, find some deals right in your backyard. We found 3 or 4 deals that were really good. This is Anthony. He's actually in the Chicago market, and he was doing some mostly wholesaling. He's got a couple of his own deals, fix and flip wise too, but he's a contractor. He works for the city, and he was having a lot of trouble getting deals done, working mostly off market leads. And then he started doing on market and added that to his toolbox. And here's what he did: 6 deals, anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 assignment fees. This is a Johnny. He's in the Maryland market, and he found his very first deal on Privy and got it under contract, closed it, made money. And now I think he's on his 7th or 8th deal, but he's doing really well up there. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or if you're experienced. We're going to help you do more transactions. So Privy right now, if you were to sign up, it's $97 per month to month. There's no contracts or anything like that. And over 12 months, that would be $1,164. Okay. But we put together some other bonuses and some discounts and some training here. So I went out and I interviewed a bunch of highly productive real estate investing operators who were doing great deals. And I went in and I asked them, what are their tips and tricks? What are their best winning strategies? What kind of pitfalls can they advise us to avoid so that we don't make the same mistakes? And I wrap that up for you and give you that for free. One of the other things that we are big on is the support. So if you sign up for Privy, I'm going to give you the VIP onboarding and 360-degree support package. And one of those bonuses for that is one-on-one training with me. So I'm going to give you a full hour, and I'm going to log into your account with you, and we're going to talk strategy. I'm going to ask you what your goals are, what markets do you want to invest in, and I'm going to see if that overlaps with the data. And then if it overlaps the data, then we'll put together a strategy together, and I'll set Privy up to actually start looking for those deals and sending you that investor activity so you can keep your finger on the pulse of the market. If it doesn't fit, well, then I'll give you some other ideas. Maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. And again, it's going to all be based off the data. We also do 2 masterminds per week with this plan, Monday nights at your Pacific time. So that would be 4 p.m. Pacific. And it's also going to be at 10 a.m. on Thursdays. So 2 mastermind sessions. It's live Q&A. Come with your questions. Everybody supports each other. That is there for you too. The next thing is the master membership. So when you sign up for Privy, you have to choose your main market. But when we realized that, as we're expanding into new markets and we've got data, we need to give you a way to get access to all these others. So I'm going to give you the master membership. It's going to give you access to all of our current markets and our future markets as we launch, as well as when we launch the public record database, you're going to get access to that for free. And then back to the the rehab. So we just had a great presentation about, what to look for from, to get a great contractor. And so one of the things that we provide you as a book that you can read and educate yourself is some of the other basics of doing rehabs. The fundamentals, how to work with your GCs, some pitfalls to avoid, estimating construction budgets. This is a great read, and lots of valuable information in there. I give that for free too. All right, so just a quick summary here. So 1 full year of Privy access, all the bonuses here. It's a huge amount of value. I showed you what Anthony's done in his first year, but we're gonna give this to you for $720. So to kind of compare apples to apples, it's really like spending $60 a month, but it is one upfront fee of $720 that gives you access for a full year, and it's grandfathered. So next year when you renew, if you decide you want to stay on board with us, it won't go up with our normal prices. So you'll get to keep that locked in, and we do have a 30-day money back guarantee. Okay, so also, Better Capital, I should always want to recommend that you guys check this out. Bobby has built an amazing platform, and you get access to Better Capital. And for those of you that are a little bit more advanced, like, this is going to be a great tool for you to manage your portfolio and make sure that you're getting a good ROI on that investment. And then, really see if you change it. Like, you can get rid of any properties that maybe aren't performing like they should, and then you can keep the ones that do. But it's better to do it from a strategic perspective and not, work off of some complicated spreadsheet, which I've seen a lot of people do. Right. So Better Capital is definitely something you guys should check out. All right. And the last piece here is for anybody out there who is considering doing wholesale, or if you're an agent and you're looking for buyers, or even in real estate investors who are doing fix and flip. You may have properties that come into your deal flow that maybe you're just not ready for, and you need to move them off to somebody else. I've got a buyers list I've been building for over 8 years, and it's got over 5,000 people on it. It's all broken out by state, and it basically allows you to get access to people who are looking for properties. And, at some point over the last, 7 or 8 years, they had opted in and said they were looking for deals. And this is a great way to kind of build that list. And I know a lot of wholesalers who are out there that use that as kind of a crutch, like, oh, I haven't built my buyers list yet. So they don't, look for deals. So I'm going to take that excuse away and give you that for free as a bonus. So we also have monthly billing for Privy. You can't go to $97 a month. We do give you some of these other bonuses here that you can't get from the website if you just go sign up. And down the road, if you determine you close a deal, or you get an influx of cash and you want to upgrade and get some of these other bonuses, let me know, and we'll see what the best price is available at that point in time. So 30-day money back guarantee on that as well. So the promo code is Mogul20. And I'm going to go ahead and put the links here for you, so you can go ahead and get signed up. And then I'm hoping we could send, you're going to send out a replay of this, aren't you, Bobby?
Yes, I am.
So it's Mogul20. And here's the links to go sign up. If you have questions, please put them into the chat, and we'll get those answered for you. And then I'm also going to give you all my contact info. So over the next 48 hours, while you're thinking about this, reach out to me. I'll get all your questions answered. I'll make sure you feel comfortable with the software. The last link I have here is a link to my calendar. So if you want to block out some time to do a demo and just kind of make yourself feel better about how the software works with your business model, or how we can help you do virtual deals or deals in other markets, that's that last one there. But my email is here, my phone number, the website, and then here also is the list of the current markets. But just know, in February, maybe sooner, we're going to be launching nationwide. So this list won't have as much of an impact here soon. But if you do decide to come on board and lock this price in, I want you to know that, we're going to help you do deals in all of these markets right away. So there's all the markets that are there, and we got more coming. So awesome. Do we have any questions? Anybody got any questions about those deals we found? Like, Bobby, we were finding stuff at 60% of ARV. Like, that stuff isn't easy to find.
It's not easy to find, especially in the Bay Area. So folks, Benson does these live demos every Wednesday and Thursday. I would say, give it a shot, and ask, you can unmute yourself, and we'll open it up for signing up, asking questions for both, all three, Badri, Kamal, and Benson. But Dave, if I'm not an agent, Dave is asking Benson, if he's not an agent, will he get to see the private remarks?
No, you won't. Those are only for agents. Yep. Yeah, I'm an agent, so that's why those display, but no, you won't have that. That's reserved for licensed people. Shyam had a question. Do you plan on having commercial property? Not in the short term. There's a company out there you may have heard of called CoStar that basically manages and controls the commercial space, whether it's multifamily properties or actual commercial. It can be, they don't do a data share. So maybe down the road, but right now I don't see that happening.
Sham, I thought you attended the webinar we did with Steve Wayne at, oh man, I always forget the name of the company. Hang on a second. I'll give you the name of the company. It's, I'll dig that up. But there is a company that does commercial. They did a presentation. I should know what their company name is called, but I'll dig that up shortly. But they have an offering for commercial, and we did do a webinar. Reach out to me if you have any questions. So at this point, look, guys, we'll open it up for anybody to ask questions to Kamal, Badri, Benson, anybody, and we can have an open and honest discussion, and ask away.
Benson, can I raise my hand here? This is Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
I'm unclear. I clicked on the link and it says the 1 year subscription was $930. Did I miss something, or was this a promo offer for 7 something? I missed that part. What is the
annual? You want to enter the promo code there. So the promo code is Mogul20.
Okay, so
that will lower the price to the special offer.
Gotcha.
Of $720.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, the name of the company is, it just came back to me, Prospect Now. So Sham, Prospect Now, Steve Wayne, just Google that. What else? Let me see if there's any other questions that were, I want to ask the folks that did do the crowdfunding a few years ago, what was their experience like? What did they like? What did they dislike? Can you share your feedback? And you can unmute yourself or you can chat. And if nobody speaks up, I will share my experience. So while you guys are coming up with the courage to ask the questions, I'll just share something. Give me a second. So just before this meeting, I took a screenshot. This is, Badri, this is maybe relevant for you because, hang on, did I not share? Okay. Yep, let me share. Desktop one. Okay, so this is Realty Shares. This is an actual transaction that I did when went crowdfunding about, so this is, we're talking several years ago. So I invested 25,000, and after multiple years and many lawsuits and foreclosures later, I got 17,000 back. Okay. So this is my realty shares experience. I did three investments, and then two of them went south. Okay. And then this is a deal I did on patch of land. I invested 11,000 on August 9th, 2016. And a few months ago, I got, how much did I get back? $4,497 back. Okay, so the reason why Avestor is important, because I thought I knew what I was doing, and I invested. These are first position lien deals that I was doing. This wasn't supposed to be anything fancy, but the borrowers knew how to game the system. So they realized that these companies like Patch of Land and Realty Shares. I met the founder of Realty Shares. Smart guy, Berkeley law degree grad, doesn't know shit about real estate, but somehow was able to raise $70 million. They started doing this crowdfunding. They hired some attorneys. Basically, it was attorneys trying to figure out how to make real estate work. And after losing a bunch of money and all that, they basically went bankrupt. And another company had to come in. They fired the CEO, and they've restructured the company now and all that. Patch of Land, same thing. Bunch of newbies that just knew how to raise money. They put deals because they needed to show their investors that they had deals. Went south. I invested in 3 of their crowdfunding deals. 2 of them didn't do very well. Like I just showed you, these are actual screenshots. And then one of them, it worked out. You know, they paid whatever it was supposed to be paid. But so you can have another layer of eyes and ears that is looking at the deals. I think in general, the crowdfunding deals that are out there are getting better, but there's always market risk. There's always management risk. There's always too much leverage. There's always something to consider. So you almost need another set of eyes and ears to evaluate those deals. Anyway, that was the only preaching I wanted to do, but because I was bitter about my, I thought I was gonna, have an easy ride with these guys. But when I did the research, and I found out that who the borrowers, were, and they were just gaming the system. So anyway, any questions from the folks out there? I think there were a few. Let me see. You're welcome, Valerie.
Hey, Bobby, if I may just respond to what you said. I think you hit the nail right on the head. And just to add to what you said, we really built Avestor to precisely solve that kind of a problem. Because when you go into a deal, you get overwhelmed, and it's very easy to get jazzed by the marketing material. And so we really wanted to bring a lot more mathematical approach to evaluate the deals. And frankly, regardless of our mathematical approach, in general, I would think most people would agree it's better to put 40 $2,500 deals instead of one $100,000 deal. If something goes wrong in the $100,000 deal, everything is gone. Whereas the chances that all the 2,540 different deals have gone bad is lower, right? So yeah, just wanted to add to what you said. I mean, you have to be very careful in what deals you get into. So.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions for Kamal or Benson or?
Hey, Bobby, I just want to say I thought that your experience with the crowdfunding was very useful. I've never done the crowdfunding before. I've always wanted to, honestly. I just didn't know because my perspective is doing other things. So I think it was really helpful. By the way, I mean, for the folks that are out here, there's about 24 of us. There's on social media, don't believe everything you read on LinkedIn and Facebook and, there's a lot of what I call celebrity syndicators that have lost money for their investors. So just peel the onion a little bit more. Just like Kamal said, look, not all GCs are equal. I hear about, projects going over budget all the time. It's happened to me as well. And they say, 10%, 15%, you should budget for going over. No, it's way more than that. Unless you're doing the work yourself or something. But so don't believe everything you see or hear on the internet. You have to do your homework. There are what I call these celebrity syndicators that are just total bad news. Anyway, I don't want to be too negative, but that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby, if I could add to what you just said, there are two things I'd like to add. Number one, when you watch these TV shows, HGTV comes to mind. There's one more. And by the way, I don't watch any TV, so I don't watch these shows. But these shows make everything look easy. How do I know that? I know some of the guys who do the building for HGTV specifically, and they've taken me to some of these projects, and we've talked. And what you're seeing on the TV is something completely different from reality. So if you're influenced by that and you try to emulate that and emulate the success, believe me, for most people, it's not going to work. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Secondly, a lot of things you see in magazines, if you try to build them, they won't pass inspection. No. Architects like to put really fancy things in magazines. They look really good. They're not going to work. So be very careful there.
Yeah. No, I look, HGTV, when you look at their numbers, it's all made for TV stuff. Yes, it's inspirational. And because of that, a lot of people have gone into real estate, but it's never that simple, But take it with a grain of salt. They forget about commissions. They forget about all the holding costs. They just show the acquisition costs, rehab costs, sales price, and then maybe minus some expenses and all that. But I think a lot of you have already done a lot of flips or rehabs or burrs. You know what I'm talking about. Lakshman has a question. How does Avestor compare with Fundrise ground floor? What happens if one of the investors defaults? What are your recovery process?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to answer that, Bobby?
Yep.
Good question. So the main thing, the main distinguishing factor for Avestor is think of us like a salad bar. Sorry to use a very hackneyed analogy. You get to choose what you want. Fundrise is a pre-made salad. Nothing wrong with that. If you're a non-accredited investor, you could do that. And you don't get many of the benefits of real estate of depreciation because in Fundrise, you get a regular 1099 and you don't get a K1 where the depreciation benefits come through. And two, we work, each platform we work with is a little different. We always take only loans with first liens. And so if somebody defaults, they go through the foreclosure process. But just to give you a stat, 99% of the loans, 98% of the loans we did not have any default rate, and less than 0.1% was lost in principal. So I don't want to bore everyone. I would highly encourage you to contact me offline if you have any more questions. Was that from Lakshman, you said? So, yeah.
Oh, Dave, I don't know about how to do that right now. I'll, Dave, get back, when you have a minute, Dave, get back, email me and I'll figure something out for you. That's a question for me. Let me see if I can scroll up. If not, I'll just do one small self-promotion commercial while you guys are thinking of some questions. But here's the website that Benson was referring to. Here's the website that we've built. It's called Better Capital, and me and my buddy have been working on this site for quite some time. We're going to go launch very soon, but it allows you to track the performance of all your assets, right? So you can come in here, you can pick a property, you can look at all the graphs related to this property. You can look at how they did last year, how did it do this year. You can look at all the financials. Here you set up the financials, and then you have all your transactions all in one place. All your reports are now all in one place. So you can now click one button, and this will produce like a Schedule E. Sorry, this is the Schedule E, but this is a year-to-date report. And then this is almost ready, but we'll have it ready probably by end of this week. But at the if you have all the data, everything will, you just click one button and you give your accountant a Schedule E report for the property. Your income, your expenses, all categorized properly, and that's it. All and documentation, all your leases, all your insurance, all your any document that you may have. I'll just show you how to add a document real quick. It won't take very long. Your pictures. Let's say you installed a new let's say I'm going to upload 3 documents. So let's say you installed a new furnace or something. You can simply come in here and upload those documents, and then you can actually add a category. So you can say this was my insurance 2018 Safeco. Okay, so if I come, I'm going to add one more. I'm going to say this was my insurance. This was renter's insurance, and it was for 2017. Here we go. And another category, I can say title, purchase 2016. So it's all here. Now, if I search on insurance, all my insurance documents will show up. If I search on 2019, all my 2019 documents will show up. If I do a lease, I don't have a lease, but let's say I do PG&E, all my PG&E bills will show up, right? So this is all here. All my contacts can be added here. But the idea is I can also upload pictures. So if I come in here, add photo, let me see if I can do an add photo real quick. Let me see if I can find some photos. No, not easy. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so, oh, sorry about that. It's just my logos, but you get the idea. Yeah, sorry. So here, here's all the pictures about, related to the property. I'm just showing you some demo stuff here. We're fully integrated to a bank, to any bank, about 15,000 banks. You can integrate with your bank. It's secure. We use a third-party secure platform to do that. We are also integrated with all these property management platforms, but you can also import data manually through Excel, through QuickBooks. But anyway, I didn't want to take up a lot of your time, but this is what we've built. It's meant for people who are real estate investors to track the actual performance. So you bought an asset, you went to a syndicator and they sold you an internal rate of return of XYZ, but you don't know. Okay, you get a quarterly dividend or distribution, and you're like, okay, I thought it was going to be 2,000, but it's 1,800. All right, but you're not crunching the numbers all day long to see if it met your what they advertised, right? Did they overachieve? Did they underachieve? Did they hit the mark? You don't know. Well, with this system, you'll be able to track everything, all the performance of your assets. You bought a rental property, you did a private money loan. If the interest for their private money loan didn't come in, the graph will tell you, hey, you know what? Something's not right here. Visual. So that's what we have built. It's going to be free to use for up to a certain amount of assets in the system. After that, it's going to be a very nominal fee. We're partnered with Kamal. We're partnered with Avestor. We're partnered with Privy. Privy is quite amazing because they allow you to find deals on the MLS so that you don't have to go around driving for dollars or send out 5,000 postcards and all that. You may be able to find deals from your desktop, right? So we're gonna bring some of those deals into our platform and so on and so forth. But again, this is designed for real estate investors. But if you got questions, email me. But the website is bettercapital.us. We couldn't get .com, but it's .us. But would love to get your feedback if you want to give it a shot and try it out. Let me see. Any questions? Yeah, I think we're good. Folks, you know where to reach Badri, Benson, and Kamal, and me. But if you want to make any announcements, you can also make any announcements. If you got something, if you need something, you want something, you have something to give, feel free to unmute yourself and do that. But we're going to do another event on Thursday for accredited investors that want to invest in hotels. So I don't know if you saw the news that A-Rod, he's putting millions of dollars into buying hotels. Reach out to me if you want to look at that article. But we're buying hotels right now because they're discounted heavily. So if you're interested, it's for accredited investors only, but you can reach out to me for that as well. With that, I know it's late in Denver and on the East Coast. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you hopefully on Thursday. Thanks, Benson. Thanks, Kamal. Thanks, Badri.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks
for having us.
All right.
Bye, Bobby.
You bet. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, Joseph, I'll reach out to you. Okay, thank you.